welcome to ET with GOTB. The Barclays WSL match week 7 returned and there was absolutely no drama whatsoever in women's football. Let's get into it. I'm Rachel.
I'm Sophie.
And this is Extra Time with Girls on the Ball. There may not have looked like too many exciting fixtures this week. They might not have looked that exciting on paper, but I actually think quite a few games delivered. We had 22 goals across all 6 games, with 10 of the 12 teams getting on the score sheet. So
it was a pretty fun weekend.
It was a pretty fun weekend. It was. We're going to run through those games, and then we're going to have a look at the table. We'll get your team of the week maybe later, because I'm looking over there and it doesn't look finished.
Mostly finished.
Player of the week is yes. And Sophie's standout moment. Okay, fine. We'll get at least 2 of the 3. So get your thinking cap on. Before we get into that, this is a reminder, of course, to make sure you're subscribed wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening to your podcast, and make sure that you're following us across all of our socials as well. We're at Girls on the Ball on everything. Can you hear the swishing of my ponytail?
Yes.
It's annoying, isn't it? I thought I'd tie it up because it looked like an absolute rat's nest, because I've been roaming around today looking like the Walking Dead. So
I didn't notice.
Well, it says a lot about you. I tried to make myself look a bit more alive, but now I've created this situation that's annoying me. I'll whip it over here. Okay, that's
what I have to deal with.
Not all of us wear hats all the time. Barclays WSL, shall we?
Yes.
Okay. Chelsea 2, London City Lionesses 0. Carpenter and Kerr getting on the score sheet. Manchester City 1, West Ham 0. Figino with the only goal there. Tottenham 2, Liverpool 1. I have put down the goal scorers for Aston Villa Everton because I was watching it at the same time, but Koga, England and Olsen with the goals there. Aston Villa 3, Everton 3. Mullet, Hansen, a Mason goal. Gaga with the brace and Kitagawa with the goals. Leicester 1, Arsenal 4. Mouchon, Russo, Blackstenius with the brace and Keys with an own goal. And Brighton 2, Manchester United 3. Kirby, Seika, Turland, Park and Nelson getting on the score sheet. I did really well because, can I just say, a lot of the goal scorers are not left to the right teams, so I don't know what I was doing there, but I think I nailed it. It does, of course, mean that the Barclays WSL table looks like this. Chelsea are on top on 19 points. Manchester City are just below them on 18 points. Manchester United are on 17 points. And then there is a 2-point gap to Tottenham on 15 and Arsenal on 14. So, Deutsch, tight enough. The way we want it. No one's running away with it yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Bottom of the table, however, Liverpool and West Ham remain pointless. 7 games in. Right. Should we start with Chelsea London City Lionesses, because that is the fixture that we went to this weekend?
Sure. Yep.
At Stamford Bridge. Aussies at the double. Both of them getting on the score sheet. A pretty brave performance from London City Lionesses. I think the last goal was maybe a little bit of a sucker punch because they'd been diligent enough as they could be in defence, but at the same time a deserved win for Chelsea, even though they're not at their best, but still coming out with a win.
Yeah, I think Chelsea did enough. I think they came out really fast in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and that kind of got them really on the front foot and on the right footing. Scoring after 6 minutes, you always give yourself an advantage. I think Jocelyn Pressure was bemoaning the fact that his side started a bit slow, and he was saying that they're a young side. Of course they are. They're new, and he wants to get them believing in themselves so that they come out and believe that they can take a game to Chelsea from the first minute, not have to wait until like 10, 15 minutes in to do it. I think Chelsea, they obviously brought it back in Lucy Bronze and Ellie Carpenter. Lucy Bronze played at right centre-back and of a back 3, and Ellie Carpenter played as a right wing-back. And they linked up pretty well, I think.
I was going to say, what did you make of that setup? It's slightly unusual.
I mean, Sonia had warned about it or said that she was going to do it before the Paris FC game, and then Ellie Carpenter picked up a knock just before that one. So I think she's pretty much in favour of that 3 at the back, and it actually really did work quite well at stages, especially in that opening first 15 minutes and maybe for 15 minutes well in the second half.
Does it not feel a bit weird to feel like Lucy Bronze is a little bit penned back almost?
Yeah, but then you have Ellie Carpenter just more.
I know, but like Lucy must be like chomping at the bit.
But they were finding so much space, like her and Sandy in particular. I thought Guru was an interesting choice as well. She was playing in like the 10 role, and she was pulling the strings, especially in that first 10 minutes. She was finding Sandy Baltimore out on the left side. Sandy was, the creator of the first goal for Ellie Carpenter, and that was really working well. And then London City came back into it a bit, and I thought they were really diligent in what they were trying to do. They didn't panic after going a goal behind. They gave up a few chances, yes, but they also knew that, if they could get Izzy Goodwin in behind the Chelsea back line, she had the pace to run at them, and they had a few opportunities here, there, across the game where they've been a bit more clinical, a bit more certain in their movements. I think there was a moment in the first half where Izzy skipped away from her defender down the left and just broke into space, and Freya Godfrey was the chasing runner, and she just didn't quite make the effort to get into the box quick enough, and the ball was on a plate for her to turn home. And I think that those are now the fine-tuning bits that they have to do, but they've come on so much in that first 6-7 games of the season.
They have. Not that I expect more, I don't think that's fair, but I think for some of the more senior players, there were moments of hesitation that shouldn't come with their level of experience, but would come maybe from a team that have just been promoted, and maybe the players haven't played that kind of high level before. And that's not really the case for these players. And sometimes you're like, you don't have a moment to hesitate against Chelsea and some of the decisions you're making. You have to be quick at those decisions. And maybe that is a case of just relationships still building.
I think that's the case. And I think you do have actually a very young squad as well. I know there's some very experienced heads in there, the likes of Aslani and Kumagai. I thought Aslani was brilliant. Paris had as well as another experienced head. But you do have really young players. I thought Sangaro was brilliant.
Yeah.
She made a mistake in the opening 2 minutes where she passed the ball straight to Erin Cuthbert, but recovered and blocked the shot in the goal line.
She stood out a few times.
She does that.
And Imran as well.
Even when she makes a mistake, she does recover quite quickly. And she's 19 years old. She's a great young talent, and
she's very calm, cool-headed.
Yeah, and has fitted right into life. And I actually asked Jocelyn about her afterwards. And he was saying, for these kids who come over, that they've made the big decision to come over to the WSL because they know that's where they're going to improve their football the most. But it does take them time to settle. But she's, kind of got all of the talent to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Okay, well, at the same time, obviously, because spacing out games would just be silly, Manchester City were taking on West Ham. And it feels like a familiar theme because it was a really good start from West Ham. I think maybe Manchester City didn't start the game well, but I thought West Ham did very well to capitalise on that. I thought their press was really good. They created plenty of chances. They created maybe 3 or 4 clear-cut chances. Could not put the ball in the back of the net, and I'd be pulling my hair out. And maybe it's a case, look, I know I say, unless the manager's going to go on and kick it for them, I don't know what's going to get these players to just get that confidence. I don't know if it's one goal, if it's one win, is that what lifts the weight off the shoulders? I don't know, and it's a difficult situation to be in when you're losing week in, week out, to kind of get out of that. Claire Rafferty was kind of talking about that a little bit up front last week. But the positives have to be, and I know I see people comment on West Ham, we say the same things all the time, always looking at positives. It was a really good first half. And I like the problem with West Ham is they can't sustain that for 90 minutes and then don't take the chances.
They have good periods or good halves in games and then they just fall away. And I think, Vivian Asai hit the bar. Ueki came close, as did Asai from close range. They didn't create many opportunities, but they did create
enough to score.
High quality opportunities that probably should have been put in the back of the net. And that's been the story of their season so far. They are getting good positions, and I think the big problem for them at the moment is their defensive work. They don't really. That's where it's lacking. It lets them down a lot. I think obviously the goalkeeper's having not the best season as well, King Shemik. So things at the back need to be worked on, definitely. Things going forward need to be worked on. They need to put the ball in the back of the net, but they are getting in those opportunities and those chances. And, you take one of those chances in the first half, you could be 1-2 net up, and think that puts a whole different reflection on that first 20 minutes of the game. Whereas, Manchester City created a lot of opportunities, but they scored with their only shot on target.
What I found interesting, and I think this is the case with the Manchester City, is that if they start slow and the other team doesn't capitalise, they got straight back into it in the second half, foot on the floor. They see where the issues are, things click. They were just a bit sloppy in the opening kind of 20-odd, 30 minutes or so. And they're missing Alex Greenwood. I can understand sometimes that happens at the international break. But second half were absolutely creating enough to score more. I thought Miedema had a good game again, kind of pulling those strings. Lovely link up with Vigino for the goal. And they definitely could have scored more. But when you're playing against a team like Manchester City and you don't take your chances, this is exactly what happens.
And like, this isn't the game that's going to decide their season. Actually, the game, that's going to be really big is the next one coming up against Leicester City. I think that's going to be absolutely crucial. They have to get something out of that, and they have to start to kickstart, get themselves in gear and get them going, because I don't think that you can't keep doing this, especially against teams in and around you that you will be looking at to beat.
Yeah, I mean, I can't keep having games and looking at, well, the first half against Arsenal was good and the second half against Brighton was good and they started well against Manchester City. That has to start turning into something. They need to start turning into points. Hopefully Greenwood's injury isn't too serious. She did post that she would be back soon. We don't really know the nature of the injury just yet, I don't think.
It was an injury picked up last week. No one's really said what it is, but it's a big blow for Manchester City because she is the glue in that centre of defence. So, fingers crossed she's back.
Nice to see Kirsten Kasperai with the armband, though, so that was nice. Another team struggling to pick up points was Liverpool. We went to this game, Tottenham versus Liverpool in Brisbane Road. And Liverpool, of course, are suffering from another big injury crisis, I suppose, with Hobinger and Sophie Roman-Haug both sustaining ACL injuries just before the international break. So a real struggle for them. They had 5 outfield players on the bench and 2 goalkeepers.
Two fit centre forwards.
Yeah.
Like 2 fit players who could be recognised in that centre forwards.
Yeah, and it was a start for Beata Olesen for not the first start, maybe her second start, I think, but she hasn't started a lot of games and actually paid off. I thought she looked really bright. She got the opening goal for Liverpool. The momentum was definitely with them in the opening stages of the game. I do think the goal was offside, but she looked bright in that first half.
They need to. I mean, certainly they're in desperate state at the moment in terms of their centre forward players. And I think for her, it's great that she got her first goal as well, first WSL goal. I think she came on deadline day. She came late into the setup. It's going to take you time to adapt anyway to this league, let alone when you come in without a pre-season. So she's taken a bit of time. Gareth Taylor said she trained really well this week and was building relationships. So he rewarded her with a start and she paid him back with that. And she was bright. She had a couple of chances, which on another day probably would have gone in the back of the net. I think for Gareth Taylor, it's a problem. I think it just feels like this season has been one thing after another in terms of the stuff that they've had to deal with on and off the pitch. Obviously, the heartbreak of Matt Beard and then the kit man, Jonathan Humble, passing away. They've had so much to deal with, and then they're expected to go out and perform, and they don't have the players at the moment to do so, and they are running on empty in terms of, or running really thin on the ground. And I think that's the problem. And he was like, we're going to keep fighting. We just need a bit of support to be able to do so. And I think what's really disappointing is how they drop off, because they started really brightly. They began the game really well. They were on the front foot. They were the better team for the first 10-15 minutes or so. They got their goal early on, and then they just kind of faded away, and they don't have that kind of fitness, mentality, all of the above to kind of see it through at the moment.
Yeah, and I do think it was a combination as well of momentum swinging back to Tottenham, and Tottenham did improve, particularly in the second half. I thought Olivia Holt was at the heart of everything. She's having a really, really good season, pulling the strings. Bethany England got the nod up front over Tinka Tanberg. I feel like she's so used to having to drop deep for balls that she still sometimes does that at times when she doesn't really need to. But I do think the relationships are clearly there. The discipline is clearly there in terms of adhering to a game plan across the squad. I think definitely second half they were on the front foot.
They're clearly enjoying life under Martin Ho, I think, and they're playing with freedom when they do get the ball. I think we've seen across all the games, maybe not all the games, but quite slow starts, and people quite not kicking into gear until the second half. And I think that's to be expected after such a long break.
Well, Martin Ho as well,
3 weeks,
kind of spoke about the not playing great but getting the win, the importance of that experience within the squad to have done that and still gotten the win and know they can do that. And we've spoken about relatively new squads or squads under new managers needing to tick off different types of experiences to know that they can achieve.
And these are the games they need to be winning. And then it gives them maybe a bit more of a free hit when it gets to like the North London derby in a couple of weeks' time, where they'll go in, I mean, depending on what happens next weekend, but they'll go into that quite full of confidence.
Well, yeah,
but also knowing that they won't be expected to win that game. So that kind of takes the pressure off a bit to be a bit more yourself and less stressed about the outcome.
There was, of course, right at the end of the game, unfortunately, an injury to Mia Enderby, which looked innocuous at first, but I actually think, I don't know whether it was the way she landed and whether she jarred her neck, but unfortunately she was carried off on a stretcher in a neck brace and into an ambulance. So fingers crossed it's not anything too serious. She did look like she was in a lot of pain. But yeah, especially given the number of injuries Liverpool are dealing with at the moment.
Now they're 2 fit centre forwards are down to 1 centre forward. So.
Yeah, so fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed is okay.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to Aston Villa Everton, which might have been the game of the weekend. It ended 3-3.
I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, Everton went ahead, deservedly so, 1-0 ahead, and then Aston Villa came back 3-1 or 2-1?
2-1.
And then 2-2, and then 3-2, and then 3-3. And yeah, so it was quite an exciting one. We've seen this with Aston Villa before where they don't start very well. They did the same against West Ham. And there was an element of Everton not taking their opportunities because...
Everton, conversely, haven't been starting very well this season and started absolutely brilliant. They were playing some like beautiful football.
Yeah.
Their press was intense.
Their link-up play.
They were finding each other. I thought Kelly Gargo looks back to her best. She was adding a new element to the team. Tony Payne was full of running. They were, I thought Vignola, she was playing more of like a in the pocket role. She was linking the play really well. And they've had to deal with injuries. And
Ruby Mace was, centre defence. Yeah.
So they were finding options, and they were really putting the pressure on Villa and not really giving them an opportunity to breathe in that first 15 minutes or so.
And I did think as the clock ticked down and it was 3-2 to Aston Villa that Everton were really going to rue the opportunities and the pressure that they created in the opening 20 minutes or so. I remember sending you a screenshot, I think 20 minutes into the game, and it was like Everton 7 shots, 1 or 2 on target, X amount of touch in the box, and Villa was just like 0-0-0-0, which was really unusual. Massively swung as the game went on, and it was definitely one that we kept an eye on. As I was doing the Tottenham game, I was keeping an eye on that one, but we watched it back today and it was an enjoyable game. Football. Villa definitely came back out stronger in the second half, and obviously benching, and I haven't really heard completely why, maybe not fully fit, I don't know, but Rachel Daly and Ebony Salmon started on the bench, and Mullet started for Aston Villa. What a game she had, a goal and an assist.
Yeah, young England player. She's been with the 23s this last week, and she got her first not her first league goal, but her first start, and it was a goal, and an assist as well, and a really, really good performance. And she really drove the play forward with Kirsty Hansen. They were kind of playing off each other a little bit, which really seemed to work well. And Arroyo's, we know what she wants to do with this team. She is about that energetic, front-footed,
trusting young players,
direct players, and they are, finding the back of the net. So I think for both, like, Aston Villa will be disappointed to have conceded in the 90th minute. That would be a disappointment that they didn't come away with 3 points. It was a pretty even game, I think, and probably on the face of it, the points shared was like the fair result. But I think both sides can take so much from that in terms of, yes, defensively they might want to work on things, but like the attacking output is definitely getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, I do think that despite it being a late equaliser, I do think it was a fair result in the end. Okay, Leicester 1, Arsenal 4. Important win for Arsenal. I think they've needed a game where they've scored lots of goals, and they definitely could have scored more. Mm-hmm. A few injuries and knocks for Arsenal. Saw like a few changes and maybe players starting that haven't started for a while. What was frustrating was we did the media conference and it was like everyone's fine except Lee and Zinsberger. It turns out everyone was not fine.
It was very suspicious because obviously Olivia Smith had been sent home from Canada camp with a hip pointer injury, so you had a feeling that maybe
more than one,
and obviously Lotte Vumoy was out with illness from England, so there was a question mark over her. There were question marks over a few people, I think. So, that was a bit of a surprise.
Although I sadly did manage to get to do press conference because it started so late that the next one had started. So I was in the next one. So I didn't...
Like 74 seconds of the
I got 74 seconds of it. I don't know if those specifics were asked. But anyway, the point was we saw Blackstonius starting, Beth Mead starting, Blackstonius starting with Russo as well. So Russo maybe playing in that false nine?
Yeah. 10.
Or 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think Arsenal definitely could have scored more. Blackstonius was on form.
Yeah, I think they were working the channels really well and finding space in behind, and Leicester play with a back three. If you kind of... And their wing backs can play quite high.
Yeah.
So if you can find that space, and we know what Blackstonius can do when she gets running, and is direct, and when she is on form and finding the back of the net, she can do you a lot of damage. So I think that'll give her a lot of confidence as well, because I think she started the season really well. She had a good first couple of the games coming off the bench, and then she kind of lost her way a little bit. She started a game, can't remember which game she started, but she didn't have the impact that she probably wanted in that game, and kind of fell off a little bit. And now it looks like, well, from that performance,
absolutely,
she was brilliant. And Renee Slegers was like, she's done exactly what we wanted of her.
Yeah, and her last goal as well was unbelievable, which kind of took the joy out of Noemi Mouchon's goal, where she just drove straight through the Arsenal defence. They opened parted like the Red Sea, and she just cut through and scored a goal. There was a heart and mouth moment though when she went down holding what looked like her knee, and we were all like, no,
because she's just come back from an ACL injury,
and she's had 2 goals.
Yeah. So I think that I need to double check, but I have a feeling that was her first 45 minutes in a long time. She's clearly a young player building herself back up carefully, and they've got to be careful with her because it was a horrible injury, and she's kind of having a bit of a reset to life in England, and it must have been really hard to come in, play a couple of games, suffer that injury. You're at a new club, away from home, young player. It can get to you, I think. So the fact that she's been able to hit the ground running, as it were, after coming back is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think this will be a moment for Arsenal to kick on, an important game for them, important result for them, and the manner of the result ahead of a game like Chelsea?
Yeah, I think they have been struggling to find their goal-scoring boots. The fact that they did it pretty quickly, I think it was Russo's 7 minutes in, I think was her goal, and to be 3 up, pretty early on. And
they should have had more.
That will give them a whole load of confidence, especially they should expect some players to come back next week as well for the derby against Chelsea. Is what you want. If you've gone in struggling to that one, pressure can get a lot and stuff. So they'll be feeling a bit freer this week. I thought Beth Mead was brilliant as well.
Yeah. Although she should have scored a goal, she'd be asking herself how she missed it. But
got another assist though.
Yes, but I also don't feel like she could do that twice in a row, Beth Mead. Okay, final game: Brighton 2, Manchester United 3. Another spicy little fixture. I've come to quite enjoy this fixture. I think Dario Vidicic likes playing it. I think he likes challenging himself against Man United. Yeah, and it often delivers a really interesting one. I think Manchester United would deservedly won it. Jess Park, again, I feel like I'm repeating myself when I talk about Manchester United, and I apologise if it does sound like that, but Jess Park is like a revelation in that team, and had another wonderful game, absolutely pulling the strings. So and getting a goal as well. So it's hard not to talk about her in these moments. But there was, you did think, oh God, are Brighton going to pull off a little comeback here? You thought maybe this Manchester United be looking at it going, do not even think about it, because their results so far, I think, have been like a win-draw, win. Mm-hmm. And you might have thought, they might be like, don't you dare get us another draw. I know we're Jewish based on the record, but no, they were deserved winners. But it was an interesting game all the same.
Yeah, it was. I think Dario was a bit frustrated with the errors that they were making. Have to point out, though, that they are injury ravaged, obviously, after Michelle Adjumang is now ruled out for the season with an ACL injury.
Madison Haley's still injured, isn't she?
Yeah, devastating news for Michelle.
Yeah.
Wishing her all the best.
Absolutely gutted for her.
But yeah, so their number 9's out for the season. Madison Haley is still trying to make her way back. There's a few other niggles here and there and stuff like that. And they're left with Carla Camacho, who's a brilliant young talent, but she is coming back from an ACL herself. She didn't suffer one that long ago, I don't think. She's getting back into the rhythm. She's just moved to England as well. It does take time to adjust, and she's doing pretty well, but it's not quite the out-and-out goal scorer that they necessarily need, and you're having to rely on the likes of Fran Kirby, who It's very reliable, don't get me wrong, and Kiko Seike, but they might need another. They're definitely going to have to look at Christmas at bringing in someone to fill in that like centre forward role.
Absolutely. And also a welcome back to Hannah Blundell, who made her return from Manchester United, giving them more depth. But also after having a baby, always wonderful to see. Mark Skinner was full of praise for her. Seeing her come back, seeing her come on and get minutes as well will be huge for them.
Yeah. We've talked about the maybe limited nature of their squad at times, and just to have another player of quality come back in. And yes, she's going to need time to build herself back up. It's been, it takes a lot out of you having a baby, but also trying to get back into things and back up to match fitness. So it'll take a bit of time to build her up, but it's great to have her back.
Yeah, great to have her back, and great for Manchester United to have another option as well on the bench. Okay, player of the week?
Oh, this is hard. I think I'm going to go with... I think mainly because I was watching it live, and it's always different when you watch things live, but Olivia Holt, I think she was superb against Liverpool. She's really like settling in now. Martin Hose said, she has no ceiling. She can do whatever she wants in the game. And you can tell the kind of natural talent that she possesses. She was really bright. She was reading where her teammates were. I thought her footwork in the to set up the assist, in the lead up to the assist for the first goal was really good. And then that ball out to Amanda Nilden was just like
I didn't know who sent it, but I messaged you straight away. I was just like, that ball. And to the match manager, I turned to him and went, this is a goal. As soon as I saw that ball out to Nilden, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, because it really stretched the playing and caught Liverpool's backline off guard. But yeah, no, I thought she was brilliant. And I think, she's building up minutes now in this league. She's getting used to it. And I think there's more to come.
Yeah, I know. Look, Chelsea fans might be saying, "What about this player?" And we might have Villa fans saying, "What about Mullet?" We might have Arsenal fans saying, "What about Blackstenius?" And we might have Everton fans saying, "What about Gago?" There's so many players that you're struggling with this team of the week, which is why it's not ready yet.
Especially this team of the week, which had you could put in about 6 centre forwards.
We just have 11 centre forwards.
I could play a 3-1-6.
But anyway, yes, lots of performances from individual players across the league that they can be proud of. Okay, can you give me a spotlight? What would you like to shine your spotlight on?
I think in terms of games,
a moment, anything. You know what this is
moment.
About.
No, I know. I think I'll go with Blackstenius's goal.
The last one.
The one. Just because that was a way that Arsenal maybe struggled to break down mid to low block teams a lot in recent weeks, and they kind of haven't been that clinical with it. And I think
direct.
That was a direct. It was the ultimate directness, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was so direct that we nearly missed it because
it was straight after the other
they
one.
were still showing us the highlights of Mouchon's goal, and then suddenly Blackstenius is in the box and shooting. Absolute bullet as well from her, and that's the kind of thing we've been saying Arsenal needs to do more of. Is just shoot. Okay, we will come to the team of the week. If you're following us across our socials, you won't miss it because Sophie's going to post it for us.
I've got it.
No, not yet.
Half done.
Yeah, okay. Right, very quickly, we will run through the WSL 2 results. There has been some movement. Sheffield United 2, Durham 1. Big win for them. Birmingham 0, Charlton 1. Ipswich Town 1, Newcastle 4. Portsmouth 2, Crystal Palace 1, Southampton 2, Nottingham Forest 3, and Sunderland 2, Bristol City 4. So it means that Charlton have opened up a little bit of a gap at the top now on 17
Running
points.
away with that.
They are a bit. Birmingham City are on 13 points below, along with Bristol City in 3rd, and then Nottingham Forest are in 4th on 12 points. Ipswich Town are down the bottom on 4, with Portsmouth above on 6. And can I just say, it's nice to have the teams that are down the bottom with points on the board because for such a long time we didn't really have that.
For the last couple of seasons you've had people rooted in the bottom with 0, and it's always like that desperation, great escape mode that they get into. They're playing some good football. Like we saw Ipswich against Crystal Palace, and they aren't a bad team at all. They will get points in this league. So
and a big win for Portsmouth
and a big one.
Any other businesses? Anything else happened in women's football that you might think of? The Barry Earps drama book was released, and what we're not going to do is give you our opinion on the whole situation because I don't actually think our opinion adds anything to it. We don't know anything extra. We don't know more about what's gone on. We are not players in the team. We haven't seen it. But I think what we both feel quite strongly about is the manner in which it has come about. And both of us are kind of questioning the advice perhaps that Mary Earps has been given in terms of the best way to announce the book, first of all, and launch the book. And I think what I think is disappointing then in terms of the way it's being received is that it's trying to be put back on the media as though it's the media's fault that this response has happened, when actually the whole thing has been done in conjunction with The Guardian. The sections of the book that were chosen have been chosen together, and those words have been put out as direct pieces from the book. So this idea of maybe misrepresenting is a little bit unfair, and I think perhaps they were not expecting the reaction that has happened, which I think is a little bit naive.
Yeah, I think there are so many PR issues, I think, along the way, with the whole like set of decision makings, actually ranging back right to June when the retirement happened, when Mary retired. I think it's a real shame because it does, in the book there are a lot of things that need to, should be told, and important stories that she's trying to tell,
and could have been the excerpts,
and could have been the focus of it. And I don't really like the kind of airing the dirty laundry in public. And you also do really have to feel for Hannah Hampton as well, because this is, she had to get ready for a game on Saturday, the day after this book, like the excerpts had been published. So you can imagine how she's feeling about all this. She's been inserted into the headlines. So it's really not nice for both of them, I think. You can understand, you can see the, different perspectives maybe, but like it's just a real sad thing, I think, the manner that it's come about.
Absolutely. And I'm sure it will rumble on a little bit more. We shall see. But that is kind of all that we'll be saying about it. Worth addressing because it is obviously a big story. But as I said, not something that we feel our opinion on what's been said or either player is really warranted giving, to be totally honest, because that just feels a bit gossipy. So
no, but there are two different. We haven't heard Hannah's version of events, but there's two different. There will be two different opinions of what happened. Probably somewhere in the middle is what happened.
Yeah.
But like when you're not privy to the conversations or part of this, it's not really our place to kind of question that side of things.
Absolutely. World Cup group draw is happening tomorrow. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, it is. Qualification.
Yes.
European,
not the World Cup group, the groups that are going to be qualifying for the World Cup. Yes.
So European World Cup qualification draw tomorrow. Exciting.
Yes.
So the Lionesses, I think, are in pot 2 in League A because they finished second. If they finished second. I can't remember.
It's great because Sophie's going to do an explainer, so hopefully she'll have figured it out by the time she does that.
Wherever they finished, I think they finished second. Sorry, I'm really struggling today. In the Nations League.
Yes.
So that means they're in pot 2 in World Cup qualification groups. Republic of Ireland are going to be in League A. They will be in pot 4.
Who wants to bet that we're going to be in England's group?
I would love that.
You just want another excuse to go to Dublin.
I want to go to Dublin, and I want to bring all our friends to Dublin, and we can go on a tour.
Hopefully it's not raining.
And it's going to be much better than going to Leuven. So
that's true.
So
Please stop Belgium.
Thank you for that. Well, we can't go to Belgium.
Can't be Belgium.
Yeah.
Yes, I just saved us from that.
You saved us from that. And then the rest, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland are all in League B.
Yeah.
So they will be in that draw as well.
Okay.
And essentially, everyone has a chance to qualify, really, because you go into so.
We'll do the explainer.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it, because then they won't have any need to read it.
But just because you're in League B, you can still qualify for the World Cup, is what I'm trying to say.
Still possible. FIFA Pro...
That was so badly explained.
Well done.
Utter mess.
Yeah. FIFA Pro 11 was confirmed today. We had the shortlist there recently, which surprised a lot of people. And unsurprisingly, the 11 is perhaps a little bit surprising as well. There was definitely a lot of outcry for a lack of Mariona Caldente in the shortlist, which was really quite surprising. But a reminder that this is voted for by players. And as you've rightly said numerous times, these are the kinds of things that happen based on a lack of visibility of football around the world. And we're not going to pretend that we can watch every single league all of the time in every single game. And it's clear that players don't either.
awards are really hard, and I think they're really important because they give, kudos out for achievements and stuff like that. But I think there's also an element that people take them way too seriously sometimes. I might get in trouble for saying that, but I think it's a good, like, for the individual or the team to be recognised is really important, and it's stuff. But there's a lot of things that goes into these things. And football is such a subjective sport.
Yes, but I think the frustrations and the reason people take it kind of quite seriously is when you're doing these serious awards, but not enough access is made. And then you're ending up with people voting for things that don't really know enough to be voting for things, and you end up with glaring omissions.
But this is, there are elements of the awards process across the board where they definitely need to be improved. And I think there are easy improvements to make. So, like, I don't know, in, say, the Ballon d'Or, which I vote in, you could open up to be 100 journalists to mirror the men's side. You still have the problem of lack of visibility and lack of access, and especially for the women's game. That is the case. You have, a handful of leagues that you can watch that are accessible to watch on TV every week or on YouTube and being streamed. And it does mean parts of the world do get forgotten about in that respect. There is also, like, the whole thing about, major tournaments are always going to take priority in these things. Like, if players perform well or win a major trophy, inevitably they're going to move up the list a bit. It's just the manner of things. So there's a whole lot of things going in. There is a lot of work that needs to be done in women's football in terms of investment in media and across the world. We are pretty lucky in this country with the amount of access that we have and the amount of media that we have. But when you look at it, actually, it's relatively really small. Yeah. So when you're looking at other countries,
it's even smaller.
So that's a big problem. There needs to be more investment, and that's where the problem lies.
The team is Hampton, Bronze, Bright, Williamson. I'm not naming the lionesses. Battle, Bonmati, Bagé. Jesus, Rachel, let me do that again. Hampton, Bronze, Bright, Williamson, Bagé, Bonmati, Puteas, Chebok, Russo, Banda, and Kelly. I really read them out literally. I wasn't even thinking about what I was reading. I was so kind of like, there's people missing. But no, there are people missing. That was primarily the comments we've gotten on social so far is, where is Mariona? And given Mariona wasn't in the shortlist, she was never going to make the 11, unfortunately. But it is crazy.
And not just Mariona, Payo and Pina as well.
Yeah. And Patry.
Yeah.
That was all the peas. Where are they? We went for all the bees. Oh my God, we really did. Yeah, I feel like maybe
that's how they chose.
Maybe the letter P was just missing on the maybe someone deleted some cells. I don't know, but there's definitely some players missing. Okay, that's it from us. A bit of a chaotic ending. Apologies. It's been a morning. It's been a day. It's been a Monday.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. But yes, do make sure you subscribe and follow wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. That way you'll catch our team of the week and any future episodes as well. We've got games coming up at the weekend. We will do a live. We keep promising to do a live, but we will do a live. And we'll, of course...
Not our fault this weekend.
No, we're not going into why we didn't do a live, but it wasn't our fault.
It definitely wasn't our fault.
Definitely not. Went out at 4, came back at 11:30. That wasn't the plan. But we will be back, of course, as well on Monday, hopefully discussing all of the exciting action that is happening at the weekend. So we will chat to you then.